Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. It's a Continental Club duo today. We have dropped McCubs for poor performance. No, I'm joking. Unfortunately, the guy once again has COVID. He's so unlucky. So our thoughts go out to McCubs, who couldn't be here today. But how are you, Henry?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, we were just saying we feel like two news presenters to deliver some serious business. But yeah, it's, yes, just when you think COVID's over, it comes back around. But no, yeah. Get your loving for McCubs in the comments. But I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be a fun episode.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. Feels like two newsreaders shuffling our papers and drinking our water. But anyway, today we are going to talk about the January transfers that make perfect sense. I put this out on Twitter earlier this week, and the responses were numerous. So we're switching our attention from the World Cup to the January transfer window, which is just around the corner now, just about 7 or 8 days away. And the first one was suggested by @Aiden1874, which was Josip Juranovic to Barcelona. Now, I'm personally not as hot on this as some others may be. Henry, where do you stand on this?
No. No. Basically, what this episode is looks to be like a reaction to World Cup players that have done well and where they might go. And I think Juranovic, don't get me wrong, we discussed this last week in Continental Club. He had a great World Cup, and deservedly so. I mean, right back for Croatia, got to the third place finish overall. He did look brilliant, didn't he? 1 assist in 6 games. I mean, 53 passes a match, completed 100% of his tackles. He's a good defender, don't get me wrong, but he's 27 years old. Is the Scottish Premier League to Barcelona really the step up, appropriate step up? I don't think so. I think obviously we've seen some players leave Scotland and go on to do really well. Van Dijk, etc. He went for a stepping stone more at Southampton. I think Moussa Dembele's obviously been, on the whole, pretty good since he's been to Lyon. But yeah, to go into that Barcelona side and take on Bayern, etc. I know Bayern hasn't been brilliant since he's been there, but is Juranovic really much better across the whole thing? I think he's helped in this Croatia system, and he doesn't really have many alternatives to his position. I don't think he's really good enough. And but let's be clear, Barcelona, it doesn't look like they can even sign players unless La Liga give them a sort of a helping hand, doesn't it? I mean, we've covered Barcelona's costs and spendings hundreds of times, but what you need to know is that there's sort of spending rules that are kind of holding them back, and Joan Laporta has made it clear they can't sign anyone in January unless La Liga relax our regulations, saying us and some other La Liga clubs are also trying to convince La Liga to be more flexible and allow us some other types of interpretation that can make Barcelona even stronger. I mean, yeah.
Doesn't sound like it's going to happen.
Yeah, Tabas is a bit of a hard
stubborn man.
A stubborn man indeed, a stubborn man indeed. So yeah, I mean, Celtic look like they're kind of prepping for this move already, spending £3.5 million on Montreal FC right back Alistair Johnston. That's an interesting deal. I'm intrigued to see how he'll get along. But yeah, I just would be stunned if Barcelona going for a 27-year-old playing out of Celtic. No disrespect to Celtic. I just think that a Europa League club at best is really where he should be looking to get a move, and I just don't want him to go there and be stuck in some kind of turbulence at Barca, not really playing at all, and eventually sort of leave on loan. And at 27, I don't think he can really afford to do that at this point in his career, unless he's going for a payday, in which case it does make perfect sense. But yeah, I mean, there are other more interesting right-back options out there. Dalot's 23, is out of his contract at the end of the season.
They've just extended that yesterday, annoyingly, after a
breaking news on Euro.
A 1-year extension.
Yeah, Dalot is staying. Pedro Porro, he's obviously been really interesting over at Sporting. Jeremy Frimpong as well. I think Frimpong might be slightly out of certainly their abilities by players as we're seeing it now. But yeah, Juranovic, don't get me wrong, good player, but I don't think this is the right move.
Fair enough. And if they were looking for a right-back that excelled in the World Cup, they could just give Serginho Dest more minutes. I thought he was pretty excellent for the USA. Yes, some of his final third decision-making was a little bit short of really top quality, but I still think there's an excellent player in there. And it feels like it's never really going to work out at Barcelona. It doesn't feel like Xavi really backs him at any point. But yes, I go for maybe Dalot, although, as we said, has extended that contract till 2024. But I think since sort of Ralf Rangnick came in halfway through last season, I think Dalot's been absolutely excellent, to be honest. Bench João Cancelo during the World Cup, of course, as well. Right, so that's Juranovic to Barcelona. We don't think it makes perfect sense, to be honest. This one, though, could. Dominik Livaković, to Bayern Munich, and this came in from @he. Emi Martinez to Bayern was also just suggested by CWesto88. So basically, as everyone knows probably by now, Manuel Neuer broke his leg going skiing after the World Cup. Not entirely sure what he was doing going skiing, mid-season.
I saw a few of them do it, and the clubs must do it without the permission of their teams, because that is,
mental.
This is the worst case scenario, isn't it?
For sure. I mean, their number 2 is Sven Ulreich, he's played pretty well for Bayern when called upon, but he's 34 years old. He's only made 86 appearances for Bayern. He spent 1 year on loan with Hamburg in 2021. He was only a regular in 2017-18 when Neuer broke his foot. So he has been called upon in big games in the past. But Bayern, the Bundesliga is relatively tight compared to what it's been like in recent years. They're only 4 points clear at the top of the table. We do expect that to go on, but they've lost Neuer, they've lost Lucas Hernandez, and they've got that tie against PSG coming up in February. So it's not the time to really be without one of your most experienced performers. And after a little dip in form a couple of years ago from Neuer, he's actually returned to being one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Probably not ever going to be that same sort of level he was around sort of 2010 to 2014, but still a very viable option. So they are probably going to look for a January, strengthening in January in that position. And according to Sky Germany, Bayern have initiated talks with Dinamo Zagreb over Livaković. And the other alternative they're supposedly thinking about is Keylor Navas from PSG. But PSG are not going to sell them Keylor Navas in January with that tie coming up in February. Livaković did have a great World Cup. He saved 3 penalties against Japan. He also saved Rodrigo's penalty against Brazil. He was pretty unlucky to not win the Golden Glove. I actually forgot that it just goes to most clean sheets. I thought it was best goalkeeper.
Really?
So Emi Martinez did come out on top.
I agree with you. I think as an overall performance, he was the best goalkeeper at the World Cup for all of Emi Martinez's excellence. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think Szczesny also had a shout, but probably didn't go deep enough in the competition for it. But Livaković saved 3.5 expected goals, which was 0.7 more than next best Szczesny. But the only downside to this potential deal, he's never been great with his feet, which for a Bayern side that play a high line, they play out from the back, they dominate possession, is a bit of a worry. He's never completed more than 65% of his passes in European competition. And actually has got a fair amount of European experience with Dinamo Zagreb, both in the Champions League and Europa League. Neuer, on the other hand, rarely drops below 80. Could you see a move for Emi Martinez in January? It just seems a bit fanciful, doesn't it?
No, I think 4.5 years on his contract at Aston Villa. He looks pretty happy there. I think let's bear in mind it's taken him a long time to get to this point in his career. I mean, he was at Arsenal for so long, bouncing around at various places on loan, and since he's gone to Villa and nailed down that kind of Premier League starting role, and now obviously into the national team and national hero in Argentina, I would be very surprised. Aston Villa aren't really they don't need to sell necessarily. They've got resources behind them. I think they're building towards something, and the hiring of Ounahi Emery is exciting. That said, I mean, the option to go to Bayern Munich is also huge, isn't it? But I think Martinez is happy in England. And I think that's probably where he's going to stay.
I love it. Cult hero status with Argentina. Solid Premier League goalkeeper. Probably not absolutely outstanding, but does rise to the big occasion. Bit of an oddball, Emi Martinez. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to another signing, which I think will probably be hotter on. Youssoufa Moukoko to Napoli. This came in from Alfonso Daman. What do you make of this, Henry?
I mean, I like this idea. It would be strange if he went from Dortmund to Napoli as...
You don't feel like it's a big enough step?
Well, I don't mean, because at the same time, he's being heavily linked with Chelsea. Is that a bigger step? It's only a bigger step in terms of going to the Premier League, in my opinion, at this moment in time. They're not competing for titles.
Maybe financially as well.
Yeah, financially as well. I personally really want him to stay at Borussia Dortmund. Just to give a bit of context, he's 18 years old. His contract is expiring this year. He certainly wasn't going to stay under Marco Rose last year. He had a really bad relationship. This year, he's come in and has actually been really successful. Modeste, who was signed to kind of replace Haller while he's out injured, hasn't really been up to scratch necessarily. Moukoko, his sort of goals per minute rate has been unbelievable in a Dortmund shirt this year, and it's suddenly looking like he could stay. I think he should stay. He's 18. Dortmund is no bad place to be, certainly for the next few years in his career. However, yeah, I can see why loads of other big clubs are looking at maybe trying to pinch him while they can. I mean, what an asset to get under your, through the door now. I think Barcelona and Real Madrid have both been linked as well. But yeah, Napoli, why not? It does look like Victor Osimhen will leave eventually at some point. They're going to get a real windfall for that, and they'll need to take on someone else. I think Dougie, you were recommending João Felix on our sort of Continental Club Extra, which you guys should go check out if you haven't already, looking at his future. And yeah, they've got an exciting forward line, don't they? Giovanni Simeone, who I do think deserves a starting role at some point. Giacomo Raspadori as well. We've really enjoyed them this year. 6 and 5 goals respectively. 6 goals like Moukoko too. This would be a really fun move. I mean, it is fun, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's fun,
absolutely.
The idea of Moukoko to Napoli. I would just be surprised. They would have to put a serious package towards him to get that over the line, because there's certainly going to be other people competing for him.
Yeah, I suppose it depends what his advisors value more. Is it regular game time, which he's likely to get at Napoli? I think he probably would move ahead of Simeone and Raspadori if Osimhen was to leave in the summer. Or do they think that he could be a starting Premier League striker, because there is a lot of interest from Premier League clubs, and it's that sort of way up. Like, what do you do with an 18-year-old? We've seen Jadon Sancho in particular come to the Premier League from the Bundesliga in recent years and just fail to develop, and it's a really sad case really with Sancho. Not saying Moukoko would go the same way necessarily. His record, particularly in the junior sides at Dortmund, is absolutely insane. So I think he's got a lot of talent, and he's shown that already this season under Terzic. So I like the idea of him going to Napoli. Whether it will happen, I think it's probably quite unlikely, but we'll see. Right, let's move on to a position that Liverpool will almost certainly be strengthening in January. Jurgen Klopp said at the end of the summer, he basically admitted that they were probably wrong and short-sighted to not sign a midfielder. It feels like Naby Keita is just never really going to be fit. You know, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's struggling with his fitness as well. They are without Luis Diaz for the first few months. They've got a massive Champions League tie against Real Madrid to look forward to as well. And their midfield options at the moment, starting midfield options, you know, Henderson had a great World Cup, but it was really Fabinho, Thiago and Harvey Elliott, and it felt a little bit lightweight. So it feels like they are going to sign a more physical midfielder. VIP786 said Sofian Amrabat or Sander Berge, while Afghan Dan 2022 said Enzo Fernandez to Liverpool. I think that would be their dream move, but I think it's going to cost far too much money on the back of winning, you know, World Cup's best young player. I feel like that's one for the summer, and I think there'll be more competition for him as well. I think they're unlikely to sign Enzo Fernandez in January, but never say never. Amrabat, for me, Henry, feels like a bit of a risk, because he was, he's at Fiorentina now, but he's never really looked like one of the best defensive midfielders in Serie A, particularly against the likes of Brozovic, or Barella is a bit more box-to-box, but the likes of those top midfielders in Italy. Do you think it's a risk to sign someone on the back of a very good World Cup campaign?
I do. It is interesting that he was heavily linked with Spurs in the summer, so it's clearly not like he's come from nowhere as a guy. I mean, his stats read pretty well, don't they? 2.8 tackles and interceptions per 90, 0.5 dribbles. I mean, I think it's just he was really playing that emotion for that Moroccan side, crashing into tackles. I really enjoyed watching him as a player. He's an interesting guy, but like you said, he's not even sort of a guaranteed minutes earner in this Fiorentina team. He's for all his good qualities. If the price is okay, if it's around the 20 million mark and they really need to get someone through, because let's face it, Oxlade-Chamberlain is going nowhere fast and other players like that, then sure, why not take on Amrabat? I think he's certainly vouching. His agent has been pushing him for a bigger move at this point in his career. Sander Berge as well. I like him as a player, but I mean, there's a reason that he's still in the Championship with Sheffield.
Has had injuries though.
Yes, you're right. Still only 24, missed 33 games so far. Yeah, good player, but is he really the answer to Liverpool's midfield issues? I really don't think so. That's certainly a filler kind of transfer, which I don't think Liverpool really should be making at this point in their kind of lifespan. But yeah, it's Amrabat out of these three, Amrabat is the most realistic to happen this January, but I'm sure there's another name that will pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'd probably take Sander Berge ahead of Amrabat, to be honest, just because he has Premier League experience. He's 2 years younger as well. It feels like they can't afford to miss with another midfielder as well, because they signed Arter in the summer, and I don't think, has he played a minute in the Premier League? At least, I can't remember if he has. Had such bad luck with injuries, supposedly struggling with the physicality of training, let alone games. So they really need this one to succeed. So yeah, maybe Amrabat, but I'd probably go for Sander Berge. Out of those three options, it feels like the most realistic. Right, let's go on to Belgian Hotspur's suggestion, which was Andries Noppert to Ajax. Now, this does feel like it makes sense.
Oh, yeah, it does. Sure. Do you want this one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Remco Pasveer is 39 and his contract expires in June. Noppert only has 18 months left on his deal with Herenveen. Hasn't played a lot of top-flight football prior to the last 18 months. I think he was sort of bouncing around the Eerste Divisie, so the second tier in Dutch football, or Serie B with Foggia as well. So, a massive giant of Italian football. Anyway, called up. I don't know why I'm having a go at Foggia. Yeah, it's Christmas. That was so unnecessary. But yeah, called up randomly, or at least given a starting berth quite randomly by Louis van Gaal in the World Cup, and I actually thought he performed really, really well, particularly some saves against Ecuador. Thought he had a pretty solid game against the US as well. We're a penalty shootout away from beating Argentina. What a turnaround, and you know how that whole storyline could have just flipped on its head in that moment, and saved 86% of shots on target, which was second to the Tunisian goalkeeper Darman, prevented 2.5 xG. And it's weird, like suddenly he does feel like quite a good option for Ajax. Probably not the most exciting option in the world, given that you know his past experience at club level, but it feels like a sensible one.
I mean, Pasveer came from relative obscurity. I mean,
True.
a lot more top flight experience than Noppert did prior to joining Ajax. But yeah, he was a bit of a revelation. It's kind of a club where you can afford to sort of work your way in because the rest of the team is so good and sort of so dominant in the Eredivisie. He's only got 18 months left on his deal, valued at €2 million. Herenveen probably a bit helpless in this situation, really. So yeah, if Ajax are looking to sort of shore up that goalkeeper position, get someone younger through the door, not spend a load of money and get in a Dutchman, then Noppert looks like a perfect choice.
I've got one that I didn't actually put down, but it was suggested. There's our weekly police siren. Was Alexander Mitrovic to Chelsea?
Why did you have to say that? Why did you have to say that?
I just wanted to see your reaction.
No, he's
Mitro going to big Chelsea?
No, he doesn't want it. Doesn't want it.
big
I
baby,
mean, he
as
has
you
said
call
he
him.
wants it, but he does.
Has he?
There was a video of a fan saying, "Will you come to Chelsea?" And he said, "I wish," or something like that.
Really?
So, but
Is that a bit of an Ivan Toney, has he?
There's not a chance we're letting go of the big Serbian baby.
Maybe in the summer. That would be
don't know.
amazing, but maybe not one for January. Right, let's move on to Borna Sosa of Inter Milan at the suggestion of Boxio Marshy. Henry, hot or not?
I do like this one. Yeah, I think he came in for a bit of stick from sort of the eye test at the World Cup. A lot of people. Zach Jalab, our man on the grounds. Yeah, we should beam him in. Yeah. He said he wasn't too impressed with Borna Sosa. But yeah, I think he's got tons of potential. We've been talking about him for a while. This is nothing new. He's a 24-year-old left wing back playing in his 5th season with Stuttgart, who obviously put together that great little side under Sven Mislintat. Hasn't quite gone to plan this season so far. But yeah, it looks like Stuttgart might be forced to sell him this January for financial reasons. That's according to Gazzetta dello Sport. Inter were linked with him throughout the summer, but Robin Gosens eventually stayed. But there is talk that he could leave in January. Hasn't probably had the impact on minutes.
No.
I know that certainly you would have hoped.
I love Robin Gosens at Atalanta, but it just hasn't happened for him. I think he's had a few injury issues, but yeah, Federico Di Marco looks like they're nailed on starting left wing back at the moment.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's other options as well. Verona's Josh Doig, or yeah, as you say, Di Marco's still going there. But yeah, I still think that his numbers in the Bundesliga have been pretty great. He's in the top 1% of fullbacks for assists, expected assists and shot creating actions, and top 10% for progressive passes. So he really is an attacking force. And imagine if you put him in a side like Inter, which are more ball dominant than Stuttgart, that are going to be playing in the final third a lot more, taking on defenders, then I think Sosa is going to would be a great shout. I saw enough of him, good quality of him at this World Cup, to suggest that he is ready to make the step up to Inter Milan. And if Stuttgart are in a corner where they have to sell, then why not have a look? I know that Inter are going to have to be clever with their finances too, though, at this point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't feel like there's that many. There's a few world-class left-backs around, the likes of Alphonso Davies, Teo Hernandez, Andy Robertson, although he hasn't been great so far this season. Then it doesn't feel like there's that many great left-backs around below that level. And Borna Sosa does feel like he's in that category, below world-class, obviously, but a good, solid left wing-back. So, yeah, maybe he is the option there. But personally, I'm a big Robin Gosens fan. Hope he gets back to his best. Right, let's talk about Azzedine Ounahi to Newcastle. This was suggested by the Grand Ascent. I actually don't think it's where Newcastle should look, personally. Another box-to-box midfielder, just because Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes are so settled in that side, alongside Sean Longstaff or Jonjo Shelvey as the sitter. For me, they should be looking at that long-term defensive midfielder, which Bruno Guimaraes could be. But I think we've seen as sort of, you know, how much impact he can make in an attacking sense over the last. Well, actually, he signed in January, didn't he? So over the last 12 months or so. But yeah, this doesn't feel like they're necessary, like a really necessary January move. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually think that Eddie Howe's elevated a lot of the midfielders already there so far. Willock's looked a lot better. Obviously, Almiron is playing some unbelievable football. Longstaff as well. I like Longstaff. I think he's a really good player. It looks like Shelvey.
Bounce back.
Yeah, Shelvey looks like he's an important figure within that dressing room anyway, next to Joel Linton and Bruno. So yes, I agree with you. Maybe a more out-and-out sort of solid DM, which frees up Joel Linton and Bruno to push forward a bit more. You've put João Palhinha down here once again, trying to get
stabbing my colleague in the back.
Player out the door. Well, I think Edson Alvarez would be a really interesting move. I like that a lot. He obviously wants to leave Ajax. He was pushing for that.
Was he close to Chelsea in the summer?
Yeah, they put in that kind of cheeky last-second bids, and then he went on strike or something like that, and then Ajax just basically said,
no,
it's not happening. So yeah, or Mohamed Kamara at Monaco. I think we included him in a scout report.
We did.
Of relegating of players to look at recently. So yeah, there are certainly options out there. I agree with you. Azzedine Ounahi to Newcastle. Maybe not right now. I'm intrigued to see where he's going to end up. I hope he doesn't make too much of a great leap. I hope he sort of plans his next move wisely and goes to a club where he can continue to show what he can do, because he's still relatively new to sort of the high elite level football. Okay,
right, let's move on to Billy Hughes MP's suggestion, which is Cristiano Ronaldo to Sporting CP. Now, by the time this video goes live, his move to Al Nassr might be decided. But Henry, I want to ask, does that move make perfect sense for you or for Ronaldo, or do you think he should have stayed in Europe?
I don't know why he wouldn't go to Sporting. He said he's 7 years old. It's the club that he first came through. They're a great club. They normally play Champions League football every year. Almarim's their manager. I'm not sure he'll be there for much longer, in all honesty. But yeah, it's just he's just checked out now. So fair enough. Go to Saudi Arabia, earn your millions. I'm sure he needs them. But it's.
You'd have preferred to see Sporting.
Yeah. I think so. I think it kind of shows the calibre of a man who, let's face it, doesn't need any more money at this point in his life.
Yeah, fair enough. It does seem a bit bizarre to get yourself sacked. And he did get himself sacked from Man United. He could have stayed to the end of the season. And instead he's just going to Saudi Arabia when he's been complaining about not playing in the Champions League for ages.
To burn all those bridges the way he's done.
To go to Saudi.
To go to Saudi, to call players like Rooney, etc., rats and whatnot. It's just the most nonsensical decision. And to do it on Piers Morgan's show as well. I mean, what an absolute PR disaster that man is.
Absolutely, yeah, really shot himself in the foot there, although his bank balance will, not be complaining. Whatever he's going on, was it £200 million a season, something like that? I can't even remember what the figure is. It's so bonkers. Guys, we don't actually have any big match predictions this week because we only had one game to talk about last week, which was the World Cup final. And this week, before Friday, there aren't actually any games. There's some games in between Christmas and New Year, which we'll be talking about on our New Year show, which is coming up in just a few days, and we'll do some predictions in that show. But to review the World Cup final, McCubs went 1-1, Argentina to win on penalties. But I don't think that counts as a point because he didn't get the scoreline correct.
I think he should get a bonus point. I think he should get 2 points at least for that.
Wow.
He's called penalties. We both went for what? Argentina wins?
We went for Argentina wins.
He called it on
And
penalty.
he called a draw as well.
He called a draw. I think that's as close to 3 points as we're going to...
Maybe I've been a bit harsh there. I think McCubs gets 2 points.
2 points, McCubs.
And we get 1 point for saying Argentina would come out on top. That even feels generous, to be honest. Maybe a half point.
So what, to us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Fine. Okay, we'll take a half point. McCubs takes 2, so he moves on to 16. Henry moves on to 21.5. Actually, I think it's just going to get confusing with these half points.
Yeah.
Should we give McCubs 2 points?
Give him 3. Give him 3.
Okay, McCubs, you're ill. Hopefully this makes you feel better. You're getting 3 points, baby. You're moving up to 17 points. Henry drops down to 21, or stays on 21 rather. I'll stay on 30 as well. That should give you a Christmas boost, big man. Get well soon. We've missed you on this episode. But that is Continental Club for our pre-Christmas show. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Which transfers to you make perfect sense? I think we went through quite a few there, but hopefully you can find more in January that do make perfect sense. I actually think it's going to be a relatively busy January. Yeah, you excited for January?
Yeah, I'm buzzing. Bear in mind, there's so much of this domestic season left. Like, the transfers you make now could have a massive impact on the rest of the campaign. We seem to forget that all these seasons have been frozen at, 14 games in? Yeah. 15 games in. So yeah, I think clubs more than ever will be looking to do great business in January. And I feel sorry for some of the clubs that are going to be raided for their best talent because it's a difficult time. Yeah, absolutely. With that World Cup putting so many players in the shop window as well. Someone like Angers losing Ounahi, if they do, poor them. Yeah, I bet they were just like, why wasn't the World Cup at the end of the year? Yeah, absolutely nuts. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Henry, quickly, what would you recommend they watch? Dougs and I, if you want more screen time with us two, go check out the Talking Points with Zach Jalab back from his big adventure. We've covered the Messi debate, what he should do next in his career, and then we also looked at which of the Premier League clubs were most affected by sort of things that happened in the World Cup. Really interesting look at how we think the World Cup might have affected the top 6 race. So go check that out if you haven't already.
Perfect, guys. Have a great Christmas. Look after yourselves. Enjoy your turkey or whatever you eat on Christmas Day, and we'll catch you later. Goodbye.